Good afternoon. Welcome to EduSat Network. Friend, as you know, today we have scheduled lecture on climate change. This is a matter of grave concern the world over, but we'll try to look at the climate change in Indian context. We'll see the causes, its extent, and also how can we overcome the climate change. And for discussion on this very topic, we have in the studio Dr. R.B. Singh. He's a professor of geography. He teaches in Delhi School of Economics and has done a good number of work on climate change and ecosystem. So on your behalf, I welcome Dr. Singh and try to know what is the major causes of climate change and what we can adopt and to mitigate the climate change process. On your behalf, I welcome Dr. Singh. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Amrendraji. Dear viewers, good afternoon. I am going to discuss today the topic climate change, Indian experience. As you know that climate change is reality. Globally, regionally and nationally, we are getting different signs and signals for climate change in different parts of the world in general and different Indian ecosystem in particular. Global warming is bringing climate change. So this one is the most important phenomena for bringing climate change in the world. Climate provides the basis for ecosystem services. You know this, it is a very important fundamental for sustainability of our life support system. Man and nature form an inseparable part of our life support system since Vedic times. So land, water, air, flora and fauna, these all are very much linked with the climate and the climatic phenomena. Climate change vulnerability is becoming not uniform. It varies from region to region. It restricts our future development actions. You know, I would like to bring before you here the two types of vulnerability. First, physical vulnerability, largely coming through the natural phenomena, and then the socio-economic vulnerability or human vulnerability coming through the I would like to just give examples like poverty or the living condition of the people in different part of our country. And so what we can do. So last part in our discussion, I would like to also bring before you some of the important adaptation and mitigation measures in the context of the different situation. I would like to first present before the WMO diagram depicting the climate change. Now you can see here that how different factors are prominent. Heat islands, particularly looking the micro climatic change in the city or particularly the mega cities. Then we have the problem like aerosols, greenhouse gases considered is a very, very important, tropospheric ozone, acid rains. These are the very important drivers of climate change. And then bringing the impact on different ecosystem, on the water resources, on agriculture, on health, on flora and fauna. So I would like to discuss with you. First, I would like to bring here the different type of the greenhouse gases. This includes water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, ozone, chlorofluorocarbons. And these gases ranked by their contribution to the greenhouse effects, and the most important are this water vapor, which contribute almost the 36 to 70%, carbon dioxide contributing almost 9 to 26%, methane contributing 4 to 9%, and ozone contributes almost 3 to 7%. Here I would like to put before you the changing global mean temperature, and I divided the whole this period, 150 period between the different category. Now you can see the 25, 50, 100 and 150 years. Now you can find that if you consider the total change in the global mean temperature, it is 0.68 degrees centigrade. But if you see the recent phenomena, I think we are getting more rapid change in recent years. Broadly, if you will see after 1920, or more specifically in our situation, it is after 1950, one can see a very tremendous change in our temperature pattern. Similarly, I would like to bring before you also the rainfall pattern, and particularly the rainfall anomaly. And I would like to use the word variability. Actually, climate change, I would like to use rather the climatic variability. That is a more important. And now after 1970, you can see in this diagram that the very severe a change, extreme events, anomaly can be examined in this graph, and this shows that climate change is a reality. I would like to summarize this, the whole global, and taking this, the IPCC earlier finding 2021, and it says surface temperature could rise by 1.4 degree centigrade to 5.8 degree centigrade by end of the 21st century. The increase in the global temperature in the 20th century was observed at almost 0.6 degree to 0.2 degree centigrade. New report, if you will see this, the current one showing almost 0.46 degree centigrade changes in temperature. And so that is why the most important impact one can see of this climate change on the glaciers. India, we have in the northern side the existence of Himalaya, and actually more than almost the 5,000 glaciers exist in the Himalayan region, and we would like to examine also what is happening, what is the state of affairs there. I would like to put another figure here that globally, 1990s were the hottest decade, and the 1998 was the hottest year since 1861. Moreover, the 7 hottest years since 1861 all fall in 1990s. So one can see, one can examine from your own perception, looking these statistics, this data and diagrams, coming through the IPCC, that climate change is a reality. I would like to bring this in our Indian situation, and one can see this variability and variation also, in the mean, maximum and the minimum temperature during the 1901 to 2003. But what I would like to emphasize in this diagram, that the more recently one can see the more variation and more changes and variability in the whole climatic pattern. Particularly during the winter time, one can see a lot of the influence in the different part of the ecosystem, but it varies also from place to place, region to region. In case of where we are sitting, like in Delhi, one can see the more western induced influence and on this. Even I would like to bring influence on the monsoon pattern also. I would like to tell you that in Delhi we used to have the earlier 2 or 3 western disturbances induced rainfall, but now we are getting almost the 6 and 7. Now, what are the driving forces? What are the important drivers of this type of the change? The massive deforestation for agricultural development, population growing rapidly, we are encroaching on the forest area. You can see lot of horizontal agricultural expansion has taken place, not only in the Green Revolution state, but also the outside of the Green Revolution state. Food grain production, hardly 45-50 million metric tons when we got independent, but now you can see we have more than 210-15 million metric tons. But if one drought occurs, it came down to around 180-85 million metric tons. So you can understand how we are vulnerable, and food security is really threatened by the such type of the variability and such type of the anomaly. Another important factor is urbanization. Economic reforms and liberalization during the 90s, massive inflow of foreign, capital to India, increase in employment, provided impetus to the rapid urbanization. Now you can see in 2001 we had only 285 million urban population. If you consider the percentage wise, constituting almost the 27.78% of the total. Now we have 377 million in 2011 recent census. So almost, if you see, our urban population constitute almost 10% of the whole world urban population, and almost 21% of the whole Asia's urban population. So you can see. Now another important phenomena I would like to mention here about the rapid increase of the metropolitan cities in general and the mega cities in particular. In India, I would like to bring here the figure that in million city, 12 we have in 81, 23 in 91, 35 in 2001, and at present almost about 53 in 2011. So now you can see the type of issue we are getting, how people are moving to the urban areas and city. This one is also another. And then in city, as generally we consider that 70% of pollutant coming from the vehicle and other. Now you can see how transport contribute to this, and particularly in the mega cities, massive increase of the vehicles due to the lack of public transport system. We do not have the better public transportation. I would like to compare with Tokyo. Tokyo having the more urban population, but daytime population generally they use the underground railway because they have network of the metro rail in different part of the Tokyo. Same situation one can see in Seoul also. So now what are the impacts? Climate change brings several impacts on the variable rainfall pattern we have seen, melting of glaciers, increased runoff, excessive flooding, and also the water scarcity, the water surplus and water scarcity. One can see both phenomena. And then India is basically the agriculturally dominant country. Our mainstay of economy is agriculture, and so we have obvious impact on agricultural productivity, on our activity, and then broadly bringing impact on health, flora, fauna, and the whole sustainability of our Indian people. One most important impact I would like to bring especially on the water resources. And as you know, the water is a very, very important component of the sustainability of Indian society, as 68% of the total area of geographical area falls under the dry areas, what you can say where precipitation is less than potential evapotranspiration. And so climate change will possibly impact water resources more. Overall rainfall might increase a little, but its variability in time and space also increase, causing more extreme events in the form of flooding and drought. Gaps, active periods in monsoon are likely to increase. Rainfall intensity might increase, also causing more uncertainty, bringing the more uncertainty in our rainfall pattern. Also, downscaling to suit river basin is not yet accomplished, in our Indian situation, particularly looking the impact of hydrology on the each river basin. But chances are that wet basin might become wetter and dry more drier. This is the general findings. I would like to put here the most important figure here. You can see this, why this is important in India, declining the water availability. Per capita per year, you can see in 1951 we have 5,177, now decreased to 1,820 in 2001, and the future estimates are the following: like 2025 we'll have more decrease of the water availability, like 1,341 cubic meter per capita per year, and then in 2050 1,140. So now you can understand from your own perception the type of the problem we are getting due to the sign and signals of the climate change. Now I would like to bring before you some of the important state of climate change situation in different part of our India, and for more specifically I would like to emphasize in taking the different type of ecosystem. Now you can see here this map includes the arid areas in the western part of India, then semi-arid areas. You can find almost the whole central India starting from the Punjab to Karnataka. Then we have humid, some humid, mountain type, and the wet situation. So I would like to put before you some of the case study, what is happening, what is the state of climate change in the area, then the vulnerability, and then some of the initiative taken. First, I would like to take up the arid environment, lies to the west of Rajasthan, comprising 12 arid districts and 60 tahsils west of Arauli. A large sandy tract of land without adequate surface water and vegetation, with rainfall even found below the 10 centimeter, and very high range of temperature found in this region. Now you can see the characteristics of Indian desert region, the large scale livestock rearing, the sand dunes. Then we have the traditional water harvesting, water scarcity is a most important problem, and then wherever some moisture is available, I think they cultivate. So now you can see, if due to the climate change, if even the slight change in the soil moisture availability in the desert area, it will be very difficult for arid people of the arid region to cultivate. And so that is why largely bringing threat to our agricultural system and threat to our sustainability of the people living in that region. After analyzing the data of rise in temperature, you can see here gradually one can see the anomaly, particularly after the 61, particularly 1991 is a more variability, and the variability one can see looking January. I am putting because January time is a more where we have the more western disturbances induce climatic anomaly in this part, and so that is why even Delhi is affected by this process. Now here I would like to bring before you this very important this figure. After analyzing the climatic factor, we found that so much area, you can see the converted, here you can see converted into the semi-arid to the arid, and then you can find the eastern side dry sub-humid to the semi-arid. So one can see a very clear change in the situation after analyzing the data of 1976, 2006, that the how dry some humid area converted into the semi-arid region, and then semi-arid region converted into the arid region. Then we try to analyze, take into consideration of the various, this map actually I would like to use also the agricultural vulnerability map, because agriculture is the main activity also in this area. So we tried to take the water resources, to take the agriculture, to take a stock of the livestock related issues, then also the education, and combining this, we found that the westernmost, where it is called the Great Indian Desert, where we have the more vulnerability, the high vulnerability, and there is a more, a scope for impact coming through the climate change. And then also the one district in the eastern part. Then we have low vulnerability, where we have the some assured irrigation facility. Now you can see here, this the northern side, particularly this the Indira Canal project. So one can see the impact of the water availability in the area, and so this the whole region converted into the low vulnerability. Now I would like to move to the semi-arid environment, which constitute almost the large part of our Indian territory, starting from the Punjab to the Karnataka. Almost percentage point geographical area, if you will consider, almost 68% population I will consider in the dry area. I would like to use the word also the dry area. We tried to also analyze the temperature of between 1948 to 2008, and variability is not so high in comparison to the arid region, but variability is there. Then we tried to analyze also even in the small territory. This is a semi-arid part of Haryana, where you can find the lot of the changes in the temperature, even in the small area, that the more changes is taking place, particularly in the western side and northern side, and then the southern side, eastern side, we have the less impact. Then we tried to calculate the vulnerability index, taking into consideration of the population density, forest cover, water availability, area under irrigation, variety of this economic activity also we have taken into consideration, and we converted the whole region into the high, medium, and the low vulnerability here, high, medium, and low. You can find that the high vulnerability means the more influence of the temperature, maybe poverty exists, lack of education, little economic opportunity available. This type of map is very important, using the geographic information system we have prepared for the various regions, like a mountain, for the arid region or the semi-arid region. This type of the map is very important for prioritizing the problem, because we can't solve all problem together. We have several issues, and so taking into consideration of the several biophysical and human attributes, it is possible to classify into the several categories. And so that is why in this map the high vulnerable areas should be taken for more mitigation and adaptation measures in comparison of the low vulnerable area. Now you can see the people are also going for a sprinkler irrigation, that is a very important for the water management, a very important technique. Indira Gandhi lift irrigation scheme, was implemented in the particularly in the western Rajasthan, and one can see a tremendous change in the whole ecology of the region. In the change in the soil, if you will visit, you can't believe that this area was a desert just few years back, and how the water can change the total. Now they are growing even the cotton and variety of the cash crops, and it has increased the livelihood security of the people only by bringing the water through the Indira Canal, the project. Even different non-conventional energy sources are also being used, and you can see this is a enhancement of the adaptive capacity even in the Jaisalmer district. How these people are using. Now you can see the windmill, the Suzlon wind turbines in Jaisalmer. This shows that how people are aware, and then they are moving for mitigating the climate change, adapting to the climate change. These are some of the important initiatives I would like to consider is a very important sign and signals for successful implementers. But what we need, because these are located in a very small patches, this should become the mass movement in our India. That is the important. Another very important feature, I would like to bring, that the Indus Ganga Brahmaputra river basin under the crisis. I would like to see the whole, and taking the IPCC, the small paragraph from the IPCC, I would like to 2007 quote: glacier melt in the Himalaya is projected to increase flooding and avalanches from the destabilized slopes and to affect the water resources in the next 2 or 3 decades. This will be followed by decreased river flow as the glacier recede. It is projected that crop yields could decrease up to almost the 30% in the South Asia by the mid-21st century, according to the Intergovernmental Panel of the Climate Change. And so that is why I would like to examine this, taking a small case study from Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserves. This is considered as a very important typical area, and I would like to discuss with you. Now you can see this, where this is located in the Uttarakhand area, this the whole region. Now you can see this the different type of the topography. Then you can see this the physiography, and then the landscape, and it is a ETM image. How you can see this the glaciated areas. Then also we have the large forested patch. So side by side you can see the glaciers, and then the existence of the biodiversity. This is considered a rich biodiversity area. Now you can see the large scale altitudinal range, more than 7,700, and starting from even 2,000. But the majority of area you can see more than 3,500 meter altitude. So altitudinal range is a very wide range of altitudinal, and so one can see very important to examine the altitudinal vegetational zonation model. Actually, as you might be knowing, the CTRL, a very economic geographical theory, that vegetation varies according to the altitude, and so that is why the climate change has a very substantial impact in such type of the environment. Now you can see, we try to analyze the average trend of seasonal rainfall millimeter per year. Taking the two, one eastern Munsiari, the one center in the eastern part, and then the Josipot, that is the western part. We tried also to analyze, taking the different time periods, 58 to 1980, 81 to 2005, 58 to 2005, taking different category and analyzing period. You can see like winter time. So winter time one can see the significant change of the rainfall, in the winter time. You can see in the between the 1958 to 2005, it is almost the minus 0.63, and Munsiari also. Now, if you see the yearly change, average, yearly change, we have more in the eastern side. So what I am trying to bring before you, that several geographical factors play a very important role, and so that is why the impact of the climate change varies according to the geography and according to the altitude, according to the vegetation, according to the even the aspects, even the direction of the slope. These are the very, very important. Now, if you see the temperature, same, taking the two center, Chamoli and Pithoragarh, if you see, then in recent years we get the more changes. Maybe not very substantial increase, but one can see that taking the figure that in recent years, if you combine 2002 data and recent data, we have even the change in Pithoragarh 0.7 degrees centigrade. So you can understand, from your own perception, that climate is changing. Now you can see here the mean maximum temperature, where we have the more changes, post monsoon period 0.6, and monsoon period not much, is more minus, but post monsoon period we have the more variation. Now I would like to take here the three glaciers for looking the impact of climate change on the three glaciers. These are the following: Tipra, Donagiri, and then Milan. Three glaciers. This one is the perspective view of the three glaciers. Now one can see the changes of glaciological parameters here, and one can see the changes, area square kilometer, the minus decrease, length of the snout, that is a very important indicator of the change of retreating character of the glaciers. Altitude, if you will see the altitude also, lot of the variation. In Milan we have the less, but in case of the Donagiri we have the high altitude area. This one is a very important, we have taken the two very important parameters: Aster image, satellite data, and then the Survey of India toposheets, and we have overlaid. And now you can see here, like a Milan, glaciers, we have superimposed on the perspective in order to understand the situation. Similarly, now you can see here, this one is a Tipra and this one is a Donagiri. We tried to superimpose. Now you can see here the green area. This shows that through the Aster image we have this much areas retreated. Now in all three glaciers you can see Milan, Tipra, and then Donagiri. Here also you can see, you know, but retreat is not uniform. Here you can see retreat is not uniform, and it varies from altitudes. So what I am trying to bring with you, altitudes can influence, the climate change influence more according to the altitude, as we have a very traditional model and theory that the vegetation varies according to the altitude. Anywhere, any part of the world, if you will go, we have the alpine, temperate, subtropical, tropical. Same situation. Altitude varies according to the mountain, height of the mountain. Like Himalaya, we have a high mountain, so maybe alpine found in the more than 3,400, 500 meter. But if you will go to Andes, I think we have, we get the on the low altitude. Another very important aspects, we tried to collect the geomorphic evidences, and now you can see here the changing glacier landscape. Again, for all three glaciers, snout, that is a very important indicator of retreating the glaciers. And through this, now you can see here, in case of it is not a change is not uniform. In case of Donagiri, the change is even 12.5 meter. In case of Tipra, we have 1.7. In case of Milam, again it is a 43 meters. So we have the more change in this area, Milan Glacier, followed by Dunagiri, and then to the Tipra Glacier. So now you can see a small locality, large variation starting from the 2000 meter to the 4000, more than 4500 meter, and one can see the changing nature of glacier landscape may be due to the climate change, with large variation, in the whole snout position. Now, then we tried also to collect some more evidences, dead glacier mound and melting from beneath, making the surface, and this also in a very important indicator of accelerating the glacier ice melt, changing landscape. And in the two area, here you can see this, the how one can see also the terraces, this shows the ice melt, the evidences of the ice melt. Now you can see here, terminal moraine or Milan, record of glacier recession and the changing landscape. Well established, moraine, here you can see in both sides of the Gauri Ganga river emerging from the Milan glacier, because ultimately, where the output is coming, downstream effect will be on the river, streams. And so that is why there exists highland lowland interactive system. If there will be due to the climate change induced melting of glacier and then debris deposition, all will have a larger impact on the river and water bodies. Impact will vary according to the season, according to the short term and long term situation. Short term may be the flooding, but the long term it may be the water scarcity. So the flooding and the drought situation exist side by side, and so that is why even the management can be done also in an integrated way, and so that is why. But if you will see in seasonal basis, during the high flow time we will have more flooding, but in the low flow time, even within a year, you can see a lot of impact, and even the flooding and drought together, water surplus and scarcity, together, side by side. In support of our study of the Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve, I would like to bring before you here the several study done by the several scholars we have quoted here, taking of the different Dunagiri, the Pindari, Milan, and now you can see here that the how much average retreat one can see by the different scholars. So what I would like to bring through this diagram, that this phenomena is dynamic in nature. It varies from the place to place, varies from the altitude, and so that is why we require careful geographical inquiry taking into consideration of the altitudinal gradient and also the biotransects. I think that aspects I will emphasize tomorrow, that type of the bio and more biodiversity aspects. But here you can see that the how 38, 35, 26, 7, even the smaller, less than 10 meter, annual retreat meter, the per year one can see, and done by the several scholars. So I would like to tell you that particularly the central part, central Himalaya, is more subjected to the glacier melt. We have more anthropogenic activity, and due to the several aerosol and other in the low-lying area and the downstream also posing, and maybe the impact of monsoon also, we are getting a lot of the snout recession and the melt in a different. Here I would like to bring before you the key findings. Glaciers have reduced many parts of the world. Retreating glaciers have attributed to global warming. However, global warming does not tell anything about varying recession rates of glaciers. Even in Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve area, the response of glacier in the form of retreating snouts to the global warming are different. Many local factors such as local physiography, orientation, slope of the bedrock, order of a stream, etc. have important influence on the glaciers. Paucity of relevant information related to the climatic conditions and glacier parameters renders glacial studies very difficult. Observations close to glacial environment are rare and of very short duration. Apart from temperature, decline of snowfall is also very important. We tried to ask the people, and they are also finding lot of changes in the snowfall pattern, and this may be due to the subjected to also the climatic change and the changes in the several climatic parameters. Very briefly also I would like to bring before you metropolitan case study, particularly the city. The city experience increase in temperature, and particularly I would like to tell the word microclimate, change in the microclimate. Risk related to industrialization and electricity generated through thermal power with large health and environmental risk by bringing change in the whole microclimate. The microclimate also influenced the long range, even the monsoon system. I would like to tell you that as we can see in the last winter we have seen the western disturbances induce rainfall. Earlier we used to 10-15 years back we used to have the only 2 or 3. Now we are getting 6, 7, and now these all western disturbances induced were in earlier period only up to the February or the mid-March. but now it is continuing until the May. So you can understand that how seasonal even the flooding is taking place. Sometime during the heavy wet spell of the monsoon and occurred also in Delhi and some other city. Now you can see here a spatial pattern of average temperature in degree centigrade, taking into consideration of the winter areas and several of the part of the Delhi metropolitan region. And we found that the central part, due to the various region, we have the northern side, southern side and the western side, we have not much increase in the temperature, but the more increase of the temperature found in the northern side, eastern side and little bit also the northwestern side, where we have more industrial activity, we have more traffic nodes, we have thermal power, existence of the thermal power plants, and then we have also the less vegetation cover. I would like to tell that in mega cities or metropolitan city, vegetation may be considered as a very important aspects of the carbon sequestration. For mitigating the climate change, the afforestation can play a very, very important role. And so now one can see in this map the influence of these factors in the whole temperature pattern. Similar way, here I would like to put a small case study of Kolkata also, and you can find that in central part we have the more risk potential related to the urban heat islands. And so that is why what I would like to emphasize here, that our master plan, urban planning, national capital region planning, I think should consider these aspects. Now what we can do, very short and the very concise way, I would like to bring before you the sector-wise mitigation. What we can do, how individually we can play also very important role for mitigating the climate change. Like a transport sector, that is considered a very important, for release of the pollutants, enhancing the quality and range of transit services, eliminating inefficient and the very polluting two-stroke engines in scooters and motorcycles, using cleaner, low carbon, low sulfur natural gas, or fuels. Domestic and the commercial level, I would like to tell you that promotion of solar energy can play a very, very important, and particularly in the heating system through, and the government can play a very important role by bringing subsidy here. Shift of the water heating load from peak to off-peak period through installation of automatic, timers. Encourage replacement of bulbs by CFL. Already many people are using this requires to be disseminated, and this should become a very, very mass movement, so that we can replace conventional tube lights. Then I would like to here say that different recreational a case of the Calcutta, many initiative already taken. Now you can see here how promotion of afforestation, encouragement of energy saving, green buildings and the green neighborhoods, non-conventional energy sources, hydropower can play a very, very important role, and JFM is becoming a very, very important mass movement. Finally, I would like to tell you that the several initiatives can be taken here. I would like to quote from the Japan Environment Agency of 2000, various initiatives taken on towards the green building and the green neighborhoods. How to minimize the absorption of the heat by the buildings. Building materials also can play a very, very important role in this context. Role of panchayat is a very important. This the local level institution can be provided the financial support, and several, also the resource base in order to strengthen the local government also, so that they can move towards the adaptation and the climate change. Then I would like to stop here. Thank you very much.
So, in your view, at three level, local level, state level, and the national level, efforts are to be made, and taking example from other country, we can say the going from this way, and we can bring some kind of a changes. This is what you want to suggest.
Yes, actually, individual level also.
Okay.
Like, I would like to say that wherever necessary, use the car. We should use the public transport system. We can, car pooling system. That is a very important, in many area. Like, in any institution, if 5 people coming, with 5 cars, why not, they can use the one day one car by the one individual and all.
Right.
5, the carpooling system. Then we have energy efficiency. It's very important. The several bulbs, tube lights, energy efficient, that can be used. Solar, water harvesting technique in order to minimize the use of the traditional energy sources, electricity and all.
Okay. So, well, friends, as you heard today, that a single step can make a significant change. So, don't wait for someone who will do, but you will wait and will watch the things. Better you start and take a step. This will bring a significant change. With this word, we conclude the lecture, and I thank all of you for watching the lecture. On my behalf, I thank Dr. R.B. Singh for giving such a wonderful lecture on this great topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.